Hey everybody, good evening. My name's Jason English. I live here in Roswell. I do a passion project called Curious Goldfish. I have a banner over here if you have a second, if you could click the QR code and follow me. I've talked to a lot of artists this year. Some have 10 listeners a month on Spotify, some have a few 100,000. But I haven't yet talked to anybody that's won multiple Grammys, has 9 million listeners on Spotify. 16 number one singles on the radio, and
that's a lot of singles.
A lot of singles, and
I can't wait for that guy to get here.
You're part of it, John. You're part of it. And like 11 billion streams. So it's a pleasure for me to talk to John Driscoll Hopkins for a few minutes. So I appreciate your attention, and we'll get going. Appreciate your time, Hop.
Absolutely. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you. We're looking forward to some good music, continuing some good music later on with your band. Just a few questions. It sounds like you've had a really busy summer, right? You guys were playing with Kenny Chesney and have a new album, EP out, right?
Yeah. We got finished with the Chesney tour in late August. We finished up in Boston. And we've been home since then and working in our own personal studios and driving kids to cheerleading and gymnastics and theater and all the things that dads get to do all the time. So, yeah.
Doing the Lord's work there. That's awesome. How are you doing after the busy summer?
Good.
Because I know that I think you just talked to Rolling Stone, and I think you indicated to them that which we'll get into about the ALS stuff. But it sounds like things are progressing slower than usual, which is great. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Slow as hell, thank you. I am grateful that they are slower than average, and my symptoms have continued to worsen, but it mostly manifests itself in my balance and my speed. So I can still pull off a lot of the things that I used to, but if you do like time lapse on your phone, it looks really cooler.
All right, we'll have to give that a try. All right, cool. Well, we want to come back to that topic, your foundation and all the important things that you're doing. And I know there's a lot of fans here, but I want to ask you about music and some of the parts of your career. Like many artists, a lot of people will start out doing covers, right? That's how you grind, you do covers, etc. I'm not sure too many people started their career with a cover of Oscar the Grouch, like you did. Can you confirm that your first cover was Oscar the Grouch?
Yes, it was, and I sang "Let a Frown Be Your Umbrella," and it was at the beach with my family. I was either 3 or 4 years old, and I also sang, it was a commercial, "Give a hoot, don't pollute."
Oh, there we go, perfect. Yeah.
Woodsy the Owl, that's right. Yeah. I'm a big Woodsy the Owl fan.
Okay, that's
always
good.
Have been.
All right. I didn't anticipate the Oscar the Grouch cover as part of the career, but obviously that sort of propelled you, love of music, right?
I mean, you
growing
have
up.
to start somewhere, right?
That's right, Sesame Street, that's good.
I began in a trash can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's perfect. That's right, yeah, exactly. But that obviously propelled you. You had a love of music that developed. I know you ended up as a theater major, right, at Florida State, and then... All right. A lot of Seminole fans here in Georgia. That's good. But you made your way back to Atlanta, and I guess talk to us a little bit about the early years of your music, and then I think you met Zac was it CJ's here in Buckhead? Yeah. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I moved here in 95. I graduated FSU in 93 and spent another year and a half down there before moving to Atlanta. And we started playing cover songs, not Oscar the Grouch covers, but we did start making a living fairly quickly. And that was due in large part to my friend Francisco, who played a lot of bars and still does. Fran's already had 3 gigs this morning, and he is the hardest working man in show business. And we started making the rounds in Buckhead. And several years into that, I did meet Zac in the late 90s, and I was running an open mic at CJ's. A lot of you will remember CJ's, rest in peace. And the open mic yielded some pretty interesting studio clients for me, in Zac Brown and Sonia Lee and Michael Tolcher. So it was a cool thing to do on a Tuesday, and I met lots of cool people. I didn't join Zac's band until 2005, but we worked in the studio a lot between the time we met and the time he needed me to sit in.
Is it true that he was only 20 years old when you met him? He was underage, right, performing in CJ's?
Yeah, he did not get the X on his hand so that he could drink. But he made a good showing. I'm 7 years older, so we played a lot of the same gigs in our 20s and 30, and then in his mid to late 20s, we were underway.
Yeah.
So it's been an exciting ride,
yeah,
for sure.
For sure. Well, a lot of people, a lot of people don't really understand the grind that goes into being a musician that's up and coming, right? You guys played an insane number of shows through the years, famously at Dixie Tavern and everywhere probably in the Southeast. I guess at what moment, do you remember the moment that you realized things were going to be different for you all, like in a good way? Was it, were you at a certain place? Did you finish a certain gig, or what was the indication? It was like, okay, this is going to be different from now on.
We really do point to this moment where we were at center stage opening for Angie Aparo, and we played Devil Went Down to Georgia, which, I mean, in some parts of the world, it may as well be our song at this point. But, we were big Charlie Daniels fans, and we cover it very fast. And the crowd was so enamored with it that they cheered, and we were recording it. I think we timed it. The applause went for like 45 seconds, and we're just like, and that's when we kind of looked at each other and said, I think we have something here.
All right.
And it was a cover. But the intensity and the way that the band was shaping up was undeniably strong, and all of us were excited about what that meant for the future.
That's awesome. And by the way, I think Fran had Angie Aparo here last month as part of the singer-songwriter program that he's doing here at Rock and Taco. So
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Yeah.
Angie is hard to spot. He's like a yeti.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah. He's a legend.
Yeah, no, that's good. So one thing I don't think you get a lot of attention. You have gotten a lot of attention through the years by your stage presence and your instrumentation. So I don't think you get enough credit for your songwriting.
Me either.
One song I want to ask you about is Toes. 300 million streams. You have co-writing credit on that with Sean Mullins and a few other folks, I guess. How did that song come about, and were you all just collaborating one day, or is that kind of over a period of time? How'd that come about?
Well, can you hear me? All right. Zach came in to record the ideas that he had for Toes, and he brought Sean with him. And so basically, most of the song had been written, but we needed to work on the chorus. It was not quite catchy enough yet. It had a lot of good potential, and Sean and I contributed some lyrics to the ending, but that was actually the day that Zach said, I need to fire my bass player. So that was the day. It was a good day.
Yeah, I guess.
I got 10% of a #1 hit and joined a band that would 3 years later be on the radio. So
right.
That was a good day.
That was a good day. Very good day. Very good day. So this thing I'm doing, it's inspired by Ted Lasso. I don't know if anybody watched Ted Lasso. Okay, cool. All right, so Ted Lasso is all about positivity and curiosity. I guess I want to ask you, Hop, given everything you've experienced with your family and your career and music, I guess what are you most curious about today?
Curious? I don't know.
This is supposed to be a layup. It's supposed to be a layup.
Can you reword that?
Yeah, sure. All right, given everything that you've experienced and all that you've learned through the years, today at age, what are you, 53, 54? What are you most curious about in terms of life? Like, what do you want to still learn about?
I'd like to know when I'm gonna die. And I do mean that tongue in cheek, because the doctor said it was gonna be 3 to 5 years, and in December that'll be 3 years, so. And I hate to be morbid, but I think a lot of people kind of want to know what their retirement is going to be, and while I'm not interested in retiring, some of us get forced into it, and I am trying to respect the ALS while giving it the middle finger behind my back. If I were to Ted Lasso stay positive, I would word that in a way that I'm curious what the next 10 years will bring, and I fully intend to be here for them, but I don't know where I'll be. Right. So that I'm most curious about where I'll be. My kids have like 6 years left of high school, and then my wife and I will look for a lake house somewhere. But we have to sell the house we have to be able to do that. So there's a good bit of healthy positive curiosity in where we will be in 6 years. So that's fun to daydream about mountain properties on the lake and that kind of thing. But that is a pipe dream for many of us, and we can only hope that that works out. So
Good answer. That was awesome. All right, very good.
Gotta keep the studio. You sell the house, gotta keep the studio.
yeah, I'm gonna sell the studio to you. Yeah, you're still busy. Top dollar.
Me and Davin will buy it.
Yeah. Oh, Davin's gonna be really fucking rich by then, so maybe he'll let you record there.
Davin McCoy, everybody. Davin McCoy. All right.
You mind if I smoke?
Help yourself. So you're almost.
It's saline. Sorry.
So you mentioned that the diagnosis has been almost 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I think at the time you've talked about you experienced pretty much every emotion upon hearing that news, except for anxiety. I think you've said that in other interviews. I guess can you tell us a little bit about those emotions and like what are your emotions today now that you're 3 years in?
You know, and in saying that, I think everyone experiences fear and anger and frustration and this, that, and the other. And I was very well acquainted with all of those, you know, after, 30 years in music. But I hear people talk about anxiety, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have anxiety. I'm anxious all the time, and never really understood what that meant. So, without being overly dramatic, it was a period of a couple of months where I had no idea what was coming next. I had convinced myself that I was already getting worse. It's just a really scary time because it's so unknown. And a lot of diagnoses are like that. Diagnoses are like that. When someone gets cancer, they hope they're able to knock it out quickly. And if they're not, then it gets really sketchy. And I can only imagine that what I was feeling was akin to other terminal diagnoses. And while I didn't feel like I was dying, I just felt unstable and slower. And it's the oddest thing because I'm not Speedy Gonzalez, but I'm generally pretty quick, and I'm generally pretty strong and ready to load out speakers. And historically, I've proven myself to be a pretty brisk worker, and it bothers the hell out of me not to be able to keep up.
Yeah.
So nowadays I think I'm more, I guess I'm used to it, but I also found a little medication in Wellbutrin that it's a very small dose, but I guess it helps. I went off of it for a while and I didn't get anxious, but I did get angry. And so modern medicine has its way of treating the symptom, and that's a symptom that I welcomed treatment of.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Well, you've taken this news and this condition, and you and your wife have started Hop on a Cure, right? Your foundation for to cure ALS, right? Not just to treat it. I think the last article I saw is about $3 million raised. Does that sound right?
The projection is that by the end of the year, we plan to have given away $3 million in research grants.
Awesome, yeah. I guess what are ways that those of us that are here in the audience and that might listen to this, how can we support not just your foundation, but the general the general topic, because it doesn't get that much attention, right? It doesn't get compared to other to other things.
I think it's important to note that the predictions are that ALS will have an increase in cases of 70% by the year 2040. No one knows why, but that is an astronomical increase.
Yeah.
And it's based on the current rate that we are seeing ALS cases pop up. We don't know if it's head trauma. We don't know if it's environmental toxicity. We don't know if it's polluted microbiome. It could be a combination of any one of those, or that just motor neuron failure is a result of different things that are happening in our world. So I'm trying to focus on non-processed food from me and from my children. And the other day I told Hope that we were not buying Nutella anymore, and she stormed off and cried. I'm gonna get a hazelnut cocoa spread that doesn't have petroleum in it. What the fuck? You want me to butter your banana or drive you to the goddamn store? Because it's got petroleum in it. Sorry to curse on your nice podcast.
That's fine.
But what I'm learning is that we are poisoning ourselves, and it's on a much bigger level than I ever understood. Little details go by the wayside, and you think, everything's bad for you now. But no, not everything.
Not everything, yeah.
Just everything in the middle of the supermarket. You have to shop the perimeter and pick up the things that are actually organic.
Yeah.
And I know it's expensive, but I'm fat anyway, so I can stand to eat less of it.
It all evens out. That's good. All right. Just in closing, we mentioned your wife Jen, and I talked about your songwriting. Some of the folks in the audience who are listening may not know that you've released a number of solo albums. I want to read some lyrics from a song from the Daylight album about 10, 12 years ago, and I think this is a reference to Jen. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it's from I Will Lay Me Down. It goes like this: whenever she's with me, I'm at home. Wherever we are standing, wherever we may roam. We built a family, we will never be alone, holding on to love until we pass on. Those are good words, I guess, in terms of your relationship with her, and especially the last few years. I guess, what's that support meant to you and the kids and everything?
She truly is the backbone of our family, and I couldn't do all the things that that I get to do without her support. I think a lot of people who travel for a living feel that frustration and that seeming absence in their family's life, and she holds it together. I'm really grateful that we have, all these devices that are melting our brains into cancer, because it allows me to see them. That was a little bit of a twisted like, wasn't it? I love these devices that have AI on them that is coming to kill us.
Yeah, the AI. Yeah, that's right.
I do think that technology has made it possible for us to stay connected.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine touring in, the days before cell phones where it was just like, I'll call you from the hotel or the truck stop or the wherever I can. So that's better.
Yeah.
But it's still very tough, and she holds it together all the time. And every day she's doing something for someone else and not for herself. And she is glued to that laptop to make sure that Hop On a Cure is staying on task. And I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
Awesome. Yeah. Perfect. Well, John, really appreciate your time. Thank you for your music. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for what you're doing. And we can't wait to hear your music tonight. So really appreciate it. Yep. Thank you, sir. Yeah, appreciate it. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And